All right. All right, folks, live, Facebook Live on Roundtable Talk Podcast. This is the Roundtable Talk Podcast. Hal Nunn.
Ruben Castellon.
And Chris Holland.
On the online video, hopefully everything is going through well, and also audio will be posted afterwards. But our online is the part that we have started the last couple times, and seems like it's working out pretty good. But we're gonna jump right in today, because after I get a hold of the sponsors, we do have we got a brand new system now. We got a guest on the phone, and we also will be live on Facebook as well with the audio, and I'll introduce him in just a minute. But first, we want to thank Raeford Guns. We're glad to have them continuing on as our inaugural sponsor, and we hope you'll check them out. It's 5609 Fayetteville Road. Yep, inside the gas station at Skull Road and Johnson Mill, Monday through Friday, 10 to 7. They're normally at shows on the weekends, so see their Facebook page, Raeford Guns on Facebook. 910-709-3950. That's Raeford Guns on Facebook. Also, the Hoke County edition of the North State Journal is the only statewide newspaper in North Carolina covering local, state, national, and world news, as well as college and pro sports. Coloring page, the whole 9 yards. Puzzle page for all the smarties, and they want to find the words and do stuff like that. I won't say any names anyway. So subscribe today by calling 919-663-3232, hoke.northstatejournal.com. Check out our Facebook page, Roundtable Talk Podcast. Listen anywhere podcasts are found. And we could not do it without Christian1057.com. WCLN, your 24/7 source for hope and inspiration. Website, online, streaming, the whole 9 yards. It's what faith sounds like. And going straight to the telephone line, no video for this gentleman, although he's probably a fairly decent-looking guy. Steve Brewster, a good friend of mine, also a good friend of someone local that you guys may know here in Hoke County, Mike Sutton. Steve Brewster and myself and Mike went a couple months. Remember, guys, we were talking about the commercial and recreational fishing,
right?
And there's a lot of money and a lot of rules and regulations when it comes to waterways. And Steve is, I would really call him a conservationist when it comes to the water systems down there in North Carolina. I think he's living on the coast. What's up, Steve? How you doing?
All right. How are you?
We're doing just fine. You're in the Wilmington area, I think. Is that correct?
I'm in the Jacksonville area.
Jacksonville, Marine, that's right. Hooah. The Marine, Semper Fi.
Hoorah.
Hoorah is Army. Semper Fi.
Hooah is Army.
Hooah.
Hoorah is Marines.
Yes. And Semper Fi. Is that right, Steve? You got to keep us Army guys straight.
I think it's most commonly you would hear a Marine these days just say "yet."
Say yes, sir. No, sir.
I'm not sure where it came from, but that's the sort of the battle cry now.
All right. All right. We're going to try to go through this as quick as possible. And I literally, we're using my cell phone, so I have no printout of the actual bill. We're talking about Senate Bill 220. And I believe it was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got a message from a guy up in Wagram, maybe Wagram. It was Scotland County. And wanting me to share some information about losing access to the waterways. We have the Lumber River, we've got the Cape Fear River, we have all these creeks around here that people use. You really be amazed at how much people use the waterways around here. But then you get down towards the coast, and it's massive. And even in the mountains, it's massive. And there's been a bill that's introduced, Senate Bill 220, and I'm not getting in. Steve, if you want to give us the synopsis of the bill, it's in reference to Section 4 is what a lot of people are fussing about. But there's a couple other things in there that we need to know about. Give us a little snapshot of Senate Bill 220, and then what we need to be knowing about Section 4.
Okay, so Senate Bill 220 is actually something that if you were to examine the bill, it would say is as recommended by the Wildlife Resources Commission. That's important to know before I go any further.
Correct.
The Wildlife Resources Commission did not put the language of Section 4 in here. In fact, from what I understand, they were very much opposed to it, and it'll make a lot of sense
Oh,
why
wow.
when I read Section 4.
Okay.
It's pretty short here. So any person who willfully launches any motorized or unmotorized watercraft from the right-of-way of a public highway or street into a body of water adjacent to the right-of-way, except in public areas designated for boating access, is guilty of a Class 3 misdemeanor. And there's some really important parts to pick apart here first. So areas designated for boating access, you're going to have WRC signs. It's going to be an actual official boat ramp. So anything that does not have official signage.
And, and let me break in there, and those are not normally. I mean, yeah, they are marked from the road, but there's not a tremendous amount of them. Correct.
There's very few.
Very few.
There's very few, and I was going to get to that. So
okay, my bad.
In my immediate area, a lot of the New River is actually federal, so this fortunately will not completely destroy the Marines. As a young Marine, if I went anywhere other than within the New River, probably 90% of my access is off the side of a road, right? And before anybody thinks that this is a safety concern or anything to that effect, it is absolutely not. There are already laws in place that are very clear. You can't park in traffic, right? You can't hinder traffic in any kind of way. There's already very specific laws for this.
And if you do pull over, you've got to be Ruben's a former law enforcement, and he's teaching it at the school here in Fayetteville. If you pull off the side of the road, Ruben, isn't there like a variance you try to get further away? Like off the right away, I guess.
I think that's what he was describing. It's not like a single shoulder that you get off the side of the road.
Yeah, they could give you a ticket for being too close to the road. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
And impeding traffic.
Right. So as long as you're far enough off the road, you should be cool, right, Ruben?
Yeah, unless it says no parking.
All right, 10-4. All right, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, that's another great example too. So there's a myriad of issues that could arise from pulling off to the shoulder of a road, and they're often handled by local counties, city, municipality, whatever it is. So you will see places that say no fishing from here, and it tends to be because they had an issue with massive overcongestion or something to that point where the area just couldn't accommodate it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But within reason, I think it's the job of the North Carolina legislature to ensure that the public, as much as is conceivably possible, can access those public resources. So the shoulder of the road itself is, in fact, maintained by tax dollars. It is public. And in fact, I'm sure your law enforcement buddy could help us here, but it often extends quite a bit further than most may think. So if there's any utility lines, it's always going to extend to that. And you can generally tend to see it with as far as the state maintains it, right? So we are paying for this, and say the most common way where you see this is a bridge, right? There are situations where a creek or other body of water will run parallel to the road, and this would be a similar instance where you could access that. But most of the time it's off of a bridge. You'll pull off to the shoulder, and that shoulder is maintained, down to the water's edge. So this is an area, a very common thing. I mean, it's not going to be illegal to pull onto the shoulder of the road if you need to make a phone call or whatever else it is.
Right.
But this bill is going to make it a Class 3 misdemeanor to pull off onto the side of the road, onto public property that all of our tax dollars pay to maintain, and then to take a kayak down to the water's edge, the waters that are maintained by our tax dollars. And if you're inland, you'll often see the Wildlife Resources Commission doing things like clearing operations. They'll go through and cut trees out and make it so that these waters are navigable for people.
So they're actually working to make it so you can get in there.
They are, absolutely. So you can move up and down it, absolutely. And
correct.
That's the Wildlife Resources Commission's stance on it. And really, I mean, this would destroy them. I've had so many people reach out to me, and they're like, this is 90% of my access. I've had at least half a dozen people tell me that they're legitimately moving to another state if this passes. Wow. And it would be terrible for funding, for license purchases for the Wildlife Resources Commission. So this is obviously not something that they would want. And from what I have been told, now whether or not there can be private duck hunting in an area that is in fact accessible by navigable public waters is a whole other conversation that you'd have to have, right? So that may be something that's already been passed quietly for some very influential folks. We know how this works, right?
We do.
Some very influential folks with deep pockets, and some legislators that are willing to hear them out. And we know why that happens. So they're trying to help them out. And so this appears to be one legislator, and in fact, interestingly enough, not listed as one of the sponsors of the bill, a completely separate senator who listed this section 4. The sponsors of the bill who have responded to us deny all knowledge completely. They said they had no idea this was in here. They thought this was all just recommendations from the Wildlife Resources Commission. Pretty concerning how deceptive that is in its very nature. So we have no accountability. We don't know who to call. And it's not even trying to be like a controversial thing, like we need to go after this guy. It's who do I call and say, hey, do you have any idea just how many people are going to be dramatically affected? And the most concerning thing is how far away are we from now we can no longer pull off to the shoulder of the road and walk down to the water? How long is it going to be before, you have a 12-year-old son that likes to fish or just wants to go down and just paddle, right? This isn't only a fishing or only a hunting thing.
I want to chime in there and make sure we stay on the part that I'm thinking. Of course, you're down at the coast, but this is not something that's just going to affect down in Jacksonville or Wilmington. This is going to affect all the way. It's going to be a statewide law if it goes as written, which I got a note today, Steve, that said, I think if you wanted to mention the guys that have sponsored this bill or primary sponsors or secondary, but we have here representing us, Senator Danny Britt, North Carolina Senator Danny Britt, and he has told me that there will be some changes. There will be changes made, if not removed altogether, Section 4. However, to the point of we're trying to make across the whole state, that's truly going to affect a lot of people. And you had mentioned earlier about how it's going to hurt. It could hurt the state financially.
Oh, I mean, if all this fishing gets cut off, we already have people talking about moving away, right? Because there's been, anyone who lives near the coast, we have already had it up to our eyeballs and then some. And the most recent marine fisheries meetings are not helping. It is, in fact, absolutely more of the same. Things are just going to continue to degrade. When you take away the ability to even access the waterways, then all of the other issues that we're already frustrated about don't even matter anymore because you simply cannot get to where the fish are. I mean, a lot of these creeks, so when I was still a young Marine, the only thing I could afford was a kayak, and that was a stretch. If I had not had these access points, then there is absolutely no way I would have ever become a serious coastal fisherman because I would not have had the ability to get anywhere near where the fish are. The fish migrate, they move around a lot throughout the year, and the vast majority of the access points that I used were from the public right-of-way, something that I pay for to get to a resource that was given to all of us by God.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we all have the right to access that.
All right, Chris is going to chime in.
This is Chris. I got a question. So, talking to these sponsors and stuff, the people that you've talked in the legislature that you've talked to, what is the purpose of the bill overall? What problem is this bill trying to solve?
The way it's written now.
So this is, again, from what I've been told, it is some hearsay, right? It did not come directly from the legislator that said it.
Okay.
But I do trust the source very much. This is about one particular instance where someone is launching a John boat, and they are going into an area that, whether it is private or the people who own it just consider it private, whoever those people are very influential with the senator who added this language.
Okay.
This is one instance with a massive knee-jerk state sweeping reaction.
It surely is.
Yeah, because you definitely don't consider one person's private circumstances to affect, statewide legislation.
If true.
If true.
If true.
Yeah. But yeah, I was, because, like I said, sometimes legislatures just want to pass laws to say they're doing something. And I was trying to determine what is the overall. I just found out about this afternoon, hadn't had a chance to look over the bill, but trying to get to the point. What is this law trying to tackle? What issue are they trying to solve? And if this paragraph 4, this section 4 is particular to one person, having an issue with somebody in their, invading their space or their perceived private area, then yeah, that would definitely be something that's an issue. But
If I can add credence to what I was told there, I can definitely with certainty tell you what it's not. So it did not come from the Wildlife Resources Commission. I've seen this sort of speculated around social media that it came from the Wildlife Resources Commission because there are new rules that are going to require some licensing for kayaks in the future, and they thought this may be an enforcement issue. And WRC has vehemently denied this. This is absolutely not a safety issue. The Department of Transportation would deal with this. And you can look at the bill itself. The bill specifically refers to trespassing issues. Now, I have absolutely no problem. If someone parks on the shoulder of the road and then they proceed through your private property in order to access the water, then they have broken the law. But that is already.
Yes. You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, I thought I lost you. Anyway, we're going to wrap it up. I want to, can you, you want to plug your YouTube channel? And you have a channel that you talk about this type of stuff, and we'll try to get a link on our page on it. Can you want to share that with us? What's the name of the YouTube page?
Absolutely. It's called Fishing with Ski.
Say that again. You broke up.
K-I. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Say it one more time.
Oh, so it's Fishing with Brewski.
There you
go. And Brewski is Brewski.
All right, Steve, I appreciate it, man, and we're going to stay on top of it, and we're going to continue to push. I'm going to push the information out there so people are aware of it, because we've got other issues to talk about today on the show. So we're going to let you roll, and we appreciate you taking the time to kind of fill us in on SB 220.
All right, thank you so much, y'all.
All right, thank y'all.
Have a great afternoon.
Out of here.
Yep.
You too. Bye-bye.
Yep. All right, that was Steve Brewster in reference to the Senate Bill 220 aftertake. Anything you got? Anything that concerns you? Or
no, I think there at the end he kind of got to the point. This bill is dealing with trespassing issues, and somebody put in that section 4 to make trespassing parked on a public right-of-way, accessing a public stream or pond or whatever, a trespassing offense. Yeah, that's definitely some issues.
But here's the thing. This is what I understand about water sources in North Carolina, because as you know, Rockfish Creek goes through my property.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the way I look at it is that you have no choice but to kayak through my property to get from point A to point B. So you cannot be trespassing as long as you're in the water.
Right.
The problem becomes is when you step out of the water onto private property. I mean, according to the land area, I own that section of the water, but the water don't belong to me.
You own the center of the creek.
Right. I have no right.
Oh, I misunderstood. When you said Rockfish Creek runs through my property, so both sides don't go through it, just one side.
I don't understand your question.
The creek.
It borders your property. It doesn't.
This
cut
is your
through
property. Do you also
it borders my property.
Okay, thank you.
So literally half of the creek, it's mine, but it's not mine.
Center line,
it's
right.
yours,
The
but it's
line.
not yours.
So the land underneath the water is mine, but the water is not. So the way I understand, because somebody kayaked through my property, I didn't say anything because the guy was in the water. I don't have a problem with it. But
they fishing or?
But he was just kayaking.
Just kayaking, exercise.
And my understanding is that that's legal because you don't have ownership of the water. That's legal. The kayak person has the right of way to go through the water source to go from point A to point B. Again, the problem is when he gets off and comes into my land. Now you're trespassing. But that's an easy fix. Put trespassing signs, private property trespassing sign,
and they'll know not to stop.
And well, I mean,
it
doesn't necessarily stop, but at least you know that hey, shots fired.
Shots can be fired.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, but this, like I said, this whole thing is dealing.
This is a terrible bill,
specifically with right of ways and public access. So
this is, I think, and really, I think it's a very easy. Those that do that should. Call Senator Danny Britt.
Well, he's not the main sponsor. I don't want.
It don't matter, but he will have to vote.
Yeah, he's on there as a sponsor.
You know.
Well, he's got to vote for it too.
So he's got to vote for it, and this is in the
And,
Senate.
I mean, you can't just say I don't know nothing about it, especially when you're going to vote. So you're telling me that you are a senator and you're going to vote on something you don't know about? Is that how it is?
No,
now?
I don't think. Honestly, I don't think
I mean, that's just
any
a
of
question
them.
I have.
Pass it, to know what's in it.
Well, that's what they do in Washington,
Yeah.
and I'm sure in some cases these guys are on bills. If they haven't read the entire thing, they know the gist of it for sure, especially if they're a sponsor of
And
it.
just to clarify for the audience, we're talking about specifically a North Carolina law. This
That's
isn't
right.
a federal law. When we talk about Senate, we're talking about the North Carolina Senate, not federal.
Right. And I'm trying to find the link to the bill now that I got my phone back. But
Don't
anyway,
worry about that.
all right, don't worry about it. Senate
Yeah.
Bill 220. We'll share something on it and do us that. All right, fellas. Now the real opening. Are you ready for the pollen? Because it's coming and it's going to be here, and Ruben will
Within a
be
month.
happy because he knows the warm weather is right there around the corner.
All I know is that I'm closer to the summer. That's all I know by now.
Bees are already coming out.
Yep, I got
But
carpenter
my
bees.
Plum trees already.
Oh, that's
bloomed.
right. Y'all have
Yep.
got to make some of that jam or
Probably
jelly.
gonna-
What
gonna
I
was
got to
it?
freeze
start all
again.
over again with
Gonna
the
freeze
bees.
again.
My 2 hives died.
Oh, really?
It was terrible.
Oh,
It was terrible.
Yeah, y'all had a
2
situation.
hives. We started with 1 hive, and then by the end of the summer we had 2 hives, and it's my understanding that they were just not big enough, and so not big enough means they're not strong enough. But I don't really know what happened because I'm not the expert as it relates to honeybees. But
Did you have somebody come look at them?
yeah, the guy that maintains the
Oh, okay.
hives, and he
So was
just
it
told
weather or
me
disease?
No, he just didn't know. They look healthy, but all of a sudden, I personally think what happened is that somehow because we had some really bad rain times, and I think what happened, some rain must have gone through something through the wood, and it froze inside. And so if it freezes inside, whatever's inside
It's gone.
is going to freeze.
Yeah, it
you
don't
know?
take much.
So yeah, we were. It might sound really petty, but man, we were devastated, man. 2 hives.
Yeah.
We're talking about several thousand honeybees.
Oh man.
You know, it was just.
You gonna regroup?
Yeah, we're
or-
gonna start all over again. But I just my wife and I, we're gonna take classes to do our part.
We
of
ha-
it.
There's a place local.
Yeah.
We have a really good beekeepers association through
Yeah.
the cooperative extension.
Yeah, we're gonna do that because I was.
Let's get 'em on.
I was really. I was, for lack of words, I was devastated. Man.
Yep.
I was so excited because, you know.
Your own honey, your own pollinator.
I'm telling you, you know, and I had already tested some of the honey from the bees that got separated and made their own hives in my property, and I was excited, you know, and I had seen no action for a while, but it was really cold, so I thought it was normal. And then he came just to check on them again, and
Gone.
man, I saw his face, and like, uh-oh. He's like, yeah, they're dead. Like, what do you mean they're dead? Yeah, they're dead. And let me check the other one, the stronger hive. Yeah, they're dead too. I said, oh my God.
I mean, I don't know how much it costs to get into it, or is there a big cost?
Well, what it is that we have an arrangement with this individual. I'm not going to mention his name because that's my gig right there. But
There
we
you
got
go.
it. Well, we got an arrangement to where
he's hawking some honey.
It's his hives in my property, but we also have ownership to the bees with the honey.
Blowing my mind.
So and it's you think it's just a matter of
yeah.
just keeping them. No, there's a lot of stuff to it, you know.
Well,
And I'm not qualified to maintain them, but my wife and I, we're gonna make an effort. I mean, my wife
Oh,
cried,
she would.
man.
She's going to be. She would be great at it because her, you know, the way she loves the plants and everything, and takes care of the yards.
I bought her a good set of. Long story short, I bought her a good set of stuff to make our own gardening and stuff, and I tell you, we're gonna get off the grid here pretty soon.
No, that's what. All right, and Chris, you're doing the jams and jellies, maybe, right?
Pickles, jams.
We had some of those already. He's got a good system down.
He's got a system down pat. Whatever that
We're gonna have to be trading honey with
All right, let's see. Roundtable Talk podcast. So start local. Well, we started local with North Carolina. We hadn't been on in a couple of weeks. Felt like it's been a month. Let's talk about the $54 million that the county. We haven't even had.
Talking about the courthouse and
all the money that they're going to spend on, or they're asking the state of North Carolina for $54 million. And I just want people to also be aware when we're talking about getting money from the state of North Carolina, every city, county around, they come in and they try to get everything they want.
Of course.
Right.
And they come in and they say, I want the world, and then you're going to give me this, that, and the other. So I fully understand that, and I fully understand how the system works. And really, truly, anybody that's elected to state house and state senate, they're going to tell you my job is to look after my district and look after my counties and cities, and when they need help, we get them help. But getting help for one reason, just because of you need it because of something's broken or outdated or whatever, like our sewer system, a little bit of nearsightedness where you didn't
lack of planning. It's called lack of planning.
Right, lack of planning. So let me go through the $54 million. I see $11 million for water and sewer. Now, how can you complain that water and sewer, we need it, right? Because that's all we talk about all the time, it seems like, is our sewer system is busted and their lines are broke and the lines are not big enough. When they put them in the first place, they didn't think about the growth. So $11 million for water and sewer. I would imagine that would be a lot of rockfish coming our way, correct? Not really anything in the western part. Have you seen anything?
I haven't seen any plans for anything.
Okay, $10 million. This one caught me, and this one you can get mad about. I authorize you. $10 million overage for the courthouse.
Yep.
$10 million overage.
And what was the original cost? 74. It wasn't in that article, but I'm trying to think back.
I don't remember.
It was like 74.
It was quite a few $1 million.
Yeah.
So $10 million overage for the courthouse. So I circled that
So
one.
many millions just floating around here.
Yes. I'm getting the point I'm getting to with the budget last year being July 24 to June 25 coming up this year is $75 million.
Okay.
75.2. And for the last 2 or 3 years, they've been saying we have an 80% fund balance. Mm-hmm. And my Cary High School math said that's about 50 or 60 million.
A lot of millions.
A lot of millions. And here you're asking the state for 54 million. Okay, and it's going to get to a point where I'm going to ask Ruben a question, and he can answer or don't answer, because the next one is $10 million for the sheriff's office to get a new facility in law enforcement. Hey, I fully support that. I'm all on board. You know what I'm saying? That where they've been moved from over behind the courthouse to where they're at now is they're all just used
So does that
buildings.
include a jail also, or is that just for?
I didn't see the details.
No,
on
that would be a new sheriff's. I'm assuming a sheriff's center, just like Harnett County.
Right,
That's
and
the last one.
and that was the point I was getting to. So the courthouse, for however much original millions it was going to cost,
74 rings a bell.
But that might have been the budget. Now that you're talking about the budget, I mean, like I said, there's so many things. But the original cost of the courthouse, plus $10 million right now. So whatever that number is, but they're only giving $10 million for a whole police center, or a sheriff's complex. So it's going to be overage too. It has to be, because it'd be significantly smaller than the courthouse.
Oh, absolutely.
And compared to what they have now, I mean, I'm just saying the courthouse is costing what it cost.
$32 million. $32 million.
I've always
So
been
$42 million. But then they're going to give the sheriff $10 million to build a whole new building for him. It's not going to work. You're going to have to.
I tell you what,
need
I've said it before. I've always had an issue where the courthouse is being built.
Number one location.
If they can get the money, a grant, and the taxpayer doesn't have to pay back, I'm all for it, but my biggest problem with the courthouse is the location.
Yeah.
To me, that was just a terrible idea, you know. But again, we said this before: the people in power make the make the decisions. You know.
Well, inflation's coming down.
Yeah.
Prices of materials are coming down, so maybe that whole $10 million won't need to be used.
Well-
and give it back to the taxpayers.
Well, here's the thing. This is one thing that I learned when I was involved in the high school project. So the builder buys materials at a certain phase
As they go.
of the building.
They don't buy it all up front.
You don't wait until later on. So unfortunately, they might buy, because of the way it's structured, they might buy materials when it's up high, but they've already committed. They've already signed contracts saying this is what we're going to pay, whatever. And now it's not a year later, it's 50% cheaper. You can't just say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay.
Yeah, that'd be a court thing. You'd go to court and have to
so
change that.
and unfortunately, you know, the way politics is right now, it's like a roller coaster. Unfortunately, and you know, so.
Well, I did find an article from the News Journal. It was on their Hoke News page, hokenews.com. Catherine Shepard, give her full credit. It was $32 million, but then a new contract and a change order went to $41 million. And then when you allowed site surveys, geothermal, all the other testing allowed, $42 million. So now with another $10 million, it's $52 million.
Well, I would think that $10 million covers that between the 30,
Well, this was
32
back
and the
last
41.
year, so.
I know, but what I'm saying is it went up to 42, so now they're asking for the difference from the state instead of coming out of local funds.
Well,
I would ask.
well-
I would bet.
Okay, so let me move on. Sheriff's Department, are we all cool with that, right? Sheriff, they need that building. You know that, right? That's true, right?
Well, they should have never moved, because I
sure.
was there. We should have never moved to the old Hoke County Health Department. That's what it was, because I was involved in the painting and everything. We put a lot of work on it, and it used to be the Hoke County Health Department.
And then they moved out
They
there.
moved out there by the Wrights, Bobby Wright's building, you know. But I was, and again, it goes back to planning. You know, if you plan properly, we know that, you get better results. So all they did was, when they moved the sheriff's office from its last little location, which it was right in front of the jail, because I was there, to the other building. All they did was just put a bandage on the problem that was not going to go away. And what is not going to go away? The sheriff's office will continue to grow because Hoke County continues to grow.
All right. Another $10 million for a county workforce training building. $5 million for a social services building. $5 million for a mental health building.
But wait, they have a social service building.
They want to put a new building in there. Or
I
add
don't know
on.
about that.
Social service, that's over by the bus barn, right?
It's it's near
sorta.
it's near it. It's where the Raeford junkyard
Salvage, where the salvage
that's what
yard
I
is.
meant.
Hey, that's
Yeah.
a big building.
I was going to say, so why don't they, when they build the social service somewhere, put the sheriff's department in that building?
Well, I mean, I'm sure they're going to, the part about.
They all
new-
want new
That's
buildings.
Everybody else will
that's a huge building.
I
I'm
know.
surprised they're gonna build. Then again, it
Maybe
might
they
be-
add on. I
Maybe
could be
it's
wrong.
the edge. I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I did business at that building many times because of my job when I was in the sheriff's office. But that's not a small building.
No. All right, $5 million. We mentioned mental health, and the last part, $3 million for fire departments improvements. So it'd be for multiple groups. I'm, of course, all for that and supportive of that. So I could knock out about $30 million of this already. But anyway, for the last 2 or 3 years, they've been saying they have 80% fund balance, 50 or 60 million just sitting in the bank. And one thing not mentioned in this is education.
The education.
Anything about education.
Well,
now,
I'm with Ruben. Anything we can get from the state, I mean, I've said it before. There's no such thing as free money. You know,
well,
a
it's
lot
all
of people
taxpayer
say
money.
it's
Yeah,
all
of course.
taxpayer money. But if we can get it from the state, I would
Without
rather
having
use
to pay
that
it back. Yeah, absolutely.
than using local funds. But because the local funds can then supplement teachers, you know,
Well,
and
they have it.
stuff like that.
Well, and the other thing we got to take in consideration is that whatever amount of money they have in the bank, whatever amount, 50 million, 100 million, whatever it is, that didn't happen overnight. That was time. It took. And so let's just say for argument's sake, they have 50 million and they put out 40 million for ABC projects. Then they got down to 10 million, and that's going to take a long time again to build that up. So I sort of understand that if the county commissioners, kudos to them, if they can get, of course we agreed it's not really free money, but we're not having to pay more money. The taxpayer in Hoke County, we're not having to pay more money to spearhead the projects, and we can get it from the state. I'm all for that. All
right. And I don't know if there've been any talks. I know there have been people mentioning if we were to go ahead and do more schools, it would probably be an elementary school before. You don't have to.
I remember, this is public information because we had several meetings initially, if you recall, when we were the new board members. Of course, I'm Ruben Castellon. I guess I should say I'm a Hoke County school board member. I don't speak for any board member, let alone the school board. It's my opinion only based on what I know. And I'm going to tell you this right now. To my recollection, when I first got in, when we got all these briefings, the schedule was 2 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and that's what would activate another high school. That. Not a middle school, and later on 2 middle. We need 2 middle schools, and it's
middle or 2 elementary.
2 elementary.
I'm sorry, 2 elementary. 2 elementary.
Yeah, they're
2 elementary schools.
In all the elementary.
We need 2 elementaries. The problem is that I don't think people realize we running out of land. So to me, you know what that means?
And water.
We're gonna have to condemn locations. We might have to do that.
You're talking about eminent domain?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's plenty of
right now,
sale land.
Right now, my point is that you have to understand this, okay? This is what I remember. It might have been the last or the one before budget when we were briefing the county commissions and asking them what we needed, what we wanted.
Yeah, land banking.
And it was, I want to say it was during the land banking briefing because someone was against me putting a line item to a land bank the second time. But I want to say it was the first time when one of the county commissioners said, well, we have to make sure when we put another high school, we can't put it anywhere in a specific area to favor the specific area. But the problem is that
specific area.
People that know anything about Hoke County, Zone 1, which is between Fayetteville Road and St. Paul's Road, is the bulk of Hoke County. So why would you want to put a high school at the other end of Hoke County in the middle of nowhere when all the population is on this side? So
doesn't make sense.
It's the rationale that is used sometimes to make decisions. To me, just makes no common sense. It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I get it. All right, so we went from the budget to down to schools. Anything left? Is there anything on the schools topics we need? Oh yeah, the metal detectors or whatever, the security equipment.
That's in the people want to know about that.
Yeah.
They can just go ahead and look at the YouTube. It's right there. I mean, like I said, that's open.
What is the thing? What are they talking about? I didn't even get a chance to see that story. Is it a different type of metal detector, or I know we used the little portable ones. This must be like a scan.
They're like tubes. You can actually go.
Oh, okay.
You can actually go to the agenda, and there's a PowerPoint slide in there, and it gives you pictures of it. They look like, I don't know, maybe 5 feet tall tubes, and there's going to be, I think the goal is probably 3 sets, and it requires 2 of them per set, and they're basically going to be used, for like indoor games like basketball and so forth,
volleyball,
and But yeah, if they want to know more about it, they can go into it. It's all right there. The briefing, pretty self-explanatory. I
It's
think.
not like the tubes at the airport where you walk in and they
No,
check-
this is not radiation. Because one of my questions was, is
Is it an
this
X-ray?
producing? Is this producing radiation? And so far, to my understanding, no. But they owe a definite answer of no, because to me, if it radiates radiation, to me that's problematic.
Well, I was because those X-ray machines produce anatomically correct pictures. At
I know.
TSA.
I know.
Putting that into a school, I think, would be very problematic.
That's why.
So yeah.
But this, I don't think it's. I
X-rays.
don't. I do. I'm going to say that I'm 99% sure that it's not X-ray. That it's nothing more a machine that detects a type of metals.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that is coming. So that wasn't put in the original quotes to build the school. This is something that's like an add-on, like cameras.
No, this got nothing to do with the high school project.
Okay, so
It
it's
has
an add-on.
that has nothing to do with the high school project. But I got to tell you, the one thing I do, talking about schools, the one thing I do want to address is how about all them executive orders from the White House? I think it's a great thing. I did not realize how many haters, how many demons really. Because if this is, of course, this is my own opinion, but if you are for a child to transition, I don't know how can you call yourself a parent. Because that brings the type of injury to a child that most likely can never be undone. It just can't be. The last time I remember, if I cut my index finger,
It doesn't grow back.
it does not grow back.
That's
you
the
know,
open gate.
So I just cannot imagine this, that a parent is okay. And so I think there's a lot of great things happening. I do believe that now, of course, you got some people that are against abolishing the Department of Public Education. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to take an act of Congress to do that. However, it don't mean that Trump can't get rid of all the fat that's in
Downsize it.
there. Downsize it tremendously. And the new Secretary of Public of the Department of Public what is it?
Instruction.
Her orders were to find herself out of a job.
Yeah.
And I hope it happens, because I tell you what, the federal government should not
McMahon,
be
right?
the federal government. This is my opinion. The federal government should not be in the business of telling the states how to educate their residents. That shouldn't be
Shouldn't
a
be a
state.
blanket
That
type
should
thing.
be a state. It should be left up to the states, and obviously, and most importantly, the parents. But there's a lot of evil going on right now as we speak against the future generation of Americans. And unfortunately, you have doctors, you have politicians, and you got parents that have joined forces to do just that. And I just hope that God continues to bless President Trump's administration, because they have a lot of work to do, because everything, all the damage that it has done to America didn't happen overnight. This has been going for 50 plus years. Going back from the
That's going to be the challenge, is to make it irreversible. The changes actually stick. But in conjunction with the executive orders, we're talking about DOGE and all of the
God
assessments
he
of the
but-
departments and stuff
Yep.
like that. And everybody's up in arms. Everybody's screaming, "Oh, this and that." But go back and look on YouTube. When Clinton came into office, him and Gore, they gave a briefing. We're going to cut the size of the government. We're going to make it efficient.
and armed forces.
Fraud, waste, and abuse. Obama,
Same
and,
thing.
Biden, when he was vice president, same thing. So
Chuck Schumer,
Yep.
Nancy Pelosi, and Ernie Burney.
It's common, right?
They all wanted
It's a
to cut the
political
government.
talking point
That's
back
all it is.
then.
Yeah.
And Clinton did cut a lot. I mean,
did.
He cut the armed forces. He cut
He
a lot of
did.
the civilian population. But unfortunately, a lot of politicians get elected on, let's root out the fraud, waste, and abuse. Let's streamline the government, make it more efficient. Well, now somebody's actually doing it because they were campaigning on it, and now everybody's up in arms. So we'll see. I just heard this afternoon that a federal judge ordered them to rehire all the people that they fired so far. I don't know that a judge can do that. But
I don't. I
well,
they
believe.
can do it, but they don't have to.
I believe a federal judge cannot do that.
I don't
And
either,
I'm gonna tell you
but he
something.
did.
I'm gonna tell you something, Ron. Right now, I was impressed with the GOP, but now I am disappointed. We have the bulk of the people right now in charge. We should be impeaching these judges. They need to remain in their place. This here, they're not. They don't have the authority to tell the president what to. It's like me having 5 children in my house, and they are all over 18. My obligation is over, and they don't want to leave my house, so I'm going to go through the process to evict them, and then the magistrate is going to say, you can't do that. They got to stay in your house. No, I'm the boss in my house. President Trump is the boss right now.
Of the executive branch.
And anybody that works on the executive branch, he has the authority to fire you. You have no standing in that. There is no standing in that. As a matter of fact, it was a precedent that said it was I'm paraphrasing.
Jackson.
It was improper to allow the federal workforce to unionize, because then they are fighting against the public.
Yeah, that's not Jackson, but I know what you're talking about.
It was a precedent.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think it was H.W. Bush. But talking about Andrew Jackson, the president.
I think it was him.
No, this was back in the 1700s, 1800s. But when he tried to, or when he removed the Cherokees from North Carolina out to Oklahoma, the Supreme Court said it was against the law. It was actually from Georgia. Supreme Court said it's against the law. You can't do it. It's unconstitutional. He says, well, they made their decision. Now let them come enforce it.
That's right.
And they moved them to Oklahoma.
And I'm glad you said that, because you know what? I am really surprised. Biden did not obey what the Supreme had to say. And I am really, this is one of the things that
on the school fund.
Yes, this is the one thing I am disappointed. And I'll say it out loud because I give credit where credit is due. I am extremely disappointed in Donald J. Trump. He should have stayed up and said, well, come and enforce it. I'm the boss over here. I don't tell you what to do in your house, and you're not going to tell me what to do in my house. And so, to me, he would just be following precedent.
Yeah, well, it's developing. Like I said, they just made the decision today, so we'll see
Oh, that
how many
happened
people.
today?
How
I
many
didn't see
people
that.
actually go back to work.
That's sort of like a principal telling Dr. Spells what he will and won't do.
Exactly. Exactly.
The principal, no, sir, you can't do
No,
that.
you can't do that. Excuse me? No.
Hit the road, Jack.
No, and see, and that is very problematic. Where right now at the time the federal workforce is working against the people, because this is President Trump has a mandate from the majority of the people, the popular, and the electoral college that got him into office. Mm-hmm. He's got his marching orders, and he's doing it. And I'm really surprised. I'm surprised he has not stand up and said, "Well, come and enforce it."
Yeah.
You got another topic?
Nah,
or is that it?
Let's do announcements. So I just wanted to throw this out there for the VFW.
Did you have another thing to bring up?
Do you?
No,
I know you had a dozen.
Actually, today I had 3.
All right. Yeah, information. So VFW Post 10
Yes.
is currently taking nominations for post officers for the 25-26 year.
I missed that.
You have until April 14th if you're interested in becoming involved with the VFW first off, but serving as an officer in the leadership there at the post, you have until April 14th, which is also the next scheduled meeting where they'll have final nomination and election of 25-26 year officers. And then I want to make this, the Hoke GOP convention is next Friday, March 21st, 6 p.m. at the Rockfish Community Building. We'll start off with a delegate meeting, a precinct meeting at 6 p.m. The actual convention will get started at 7. We're looking at possibly Richard Hudson and Dave Bullock as our
Well,
speakers.
Dave needs to come back.
Yep, and we've got a couple local candidates that'll also be speaking. So come out. We'll elect county officers for the 25-26 year, and then we'll also a couple resolutions that we're going to pass, send up to the state.
Good stuff.
I do have one thing. How about them eggs? The
Oh,
price-
yeah,
the
and the
price of
gas.
eggs.
$2 already.
Did you notice how quick the Democrats were quick to say that it was Trump's fault? Why the eggs were at $8+ dollars? This is exactly what it is. One of the things I loved about his speech the last time in Congress.
Yeah, we haven't had it.
What was it was to me it was so funny when he pointed them out. And he said, I'm paraphrasing, it don't matter what I say or what I do. I can invent a vaccine for a virus that is subject to kill the entire world, and I would still not get credit.
It's
Still
exactly.
wouldn't get applause.
It's the same thing with the everybody saying they would make cuts to the federal government. It's the exact same thing. He's doing exactly what they said they wanted to do. I think they're just mad. Number one, it's him, and number two, he's doing it. He can get it
Well,
done.
you know, I am so glad, and I got to tell you, this is a rude awakening for a lot of people that are not involved. Obviously, this works on both sides of the coin, but I tell you what, he has an uphill battle because everybody is fighting him. The district superior court judges are fighting him. You know, and it's going to be an uphill battle, but he just needs to continue to go. But the biggest challenge is going to be to get the Hoke County, not the Hoke County GOP, the Senate GOP to get off of their gluteus maximus and make bills for every executive order he has passed, because those executive orders, unless they become law by initiation by the Senate, or
There's a lot.
or
There's
the
a lot.
House of Representatives, unless it becomes law, it's only good for 4 years because we don't know what's going to happen in the next election. We don't know
Nope.
if we're going to have another Republican president. I know what's going to happen if we get a Democrat president. Everything that was done is going to be undone in the first day.
Yep.
Just like Biden did.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what he did.
Border security and everything.
Yeah.
And said that he couldn't fix the border. Congress had to fix it. Then Trump comes in and fixes it.
Well, he started fixing it right at the end. Him and Kamala was trying to say, "Oh man, we really screwed this one up. Let's try to do something."
It was too late.
Yeah, but it just goes to show he spent 3 years saying it's not me, it's the Congress. But then when it was like crunch time, he's like, "All right, we need to start doing this." And they did start increasing deportation.
And what the president said, come to find out, all we needed was a new president.
That's it. All we needed was a new president. I'm going to add on to your veterans thing. At the first city council meeting in April, which is like the first Monday, right? We're going to be, all three organizations, VFW, DAV, and the Legion, are going to be making a presentation and a request to have a parade for
we talked about
Veterans
that
Day.
last time. Yeah, it's going to cost $5,000.
Yeah, the money. There's a money thing to it, and I'm not completely sold. I mean, here it is, March, and you're going to try to pull off a parade. But I mean, if we can do it, we can do it. If not, I definitely want us to push for something on next year, our 250th birthday.
Yeah, we're talking about
26.
the security is what's costing the $5,000, right? We're talking about off duty.
Off duty, you
PD,
have to
sheriff.
have that, and then the road blockage stuff, the equipment that you have to put out or something, I guess. That and security.
All I ever see is barricades out when they do the. I don't know. I would ask the city council if they would consider volunteer law enforcement, on their off time, and volunteer their services versus
Well,
paying
add that
for
to it, and if you can make it that night, we'll try.
I don't think they can do that.
But
I don't think they can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they
If the minute that officer puts a uniform on, badge and everything, he's not volunteering. He's on duty either because he's getting paid as an off-duty officer, or he's on duty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
off-duty
I know.
officer
Yeah.
is I think that's the realm they're talking about.
Right.
Off-duty officer. I want to mention our Brotherhood Fish Fry. That's next Friday, March 21st. If you want some fish, 11 to 2 at First Baptist downtown Raeford. I'll get your ticket. If you wanted to munch on some fish, I'll be out there frying it up as long as I can stand up.
All right.
Anything else? We want
that's
to
a
thank
wrap.
our sponsors, Raeford Guns. We're glad to have them continue on inside the gas station down there at Skull Road and Johnson Mill. Also check out the Hoke County edition of the North State Journal, hoke.northstatejournal.com. Also Christian1057.com. WCLN for Hal Nunn.
Reuben Castellon.
And Chris Holland.
We'll see you next time, Facebook.